Stromberg Carlson. Most of you watchers in the States have seen these before, and you all probably know a lot more about this one than I do. This amplifier is in for a look over service. We're not going to be particularly modding this amp or anything like that. It's just in for a check over. So let's just have a look at what we've got on this front panel then. So we've got input, microphone, microphone 2, pilot light, microphone 3, and then we've got bass and treble. Treble pot's got the old chicken knob on it. So that all looks good. Let me turn this round. It's a bit of a beast. So now we can see on the back 3 amp fuse. Let's have a look at him. Yep, he's correct. No problems there. Got an outlet there, AC outlet there, 65 watts. Got the tube compilation here, 2 6L6s, a 6X4 and a 5Y3, 12AX7. Looks like we've got 1 12AX7, 1, 2, 4 12AU7s, or am I reading that wrong? 5 12AU7s and another 12AX7. That's how that reads to me. Whether that's right, we'll look inside and find out. The impedance seem to have a large selection of impedance: 6.25, 25 ohms, 50 ohms, 200 ohms. My word, there's some tappings on that transform. 16, 8 and 4, and then we've got common there. So it looks like somebody's modded this with this wire through here, and then you just screw that on there. Looks like it previously had a selector on here. They always usually break these selectors at whatever or go missing. Right, we can see this amplifier's had some work done on it. So we've got a classic tone transformer there. That's very tasty. The tubes are all wrapped up because he sent this through the post, and we've got the tubes here. So we've got 2 caps here, both say not used on them. So they're obviously just been left on there. That one's really loose. They might be that one certainly might be as well being removed, given that looks like it's been stuck down with something. But the Bakelite thing's split on there. Having said that, it may have got done in transit. So you can see we've got the tube sockets all labelled here. We have got a schematic for this amp as well. The customer sent a schematic down with it, a really nice one. So we've got a schematic as well. So what we're going to do before we populate it with the 2 is we're going to tip it upside down, take the bottom off and have a look inside. Right, I've got the top off, or the bottom off, should we say. And we're having a look inside. And the first thing that hits us is these bumblebee caps. Here, there, huge one there. Some more here, and here. Now, as we know, these are notorious for leaking. They're supposed to be the holy grail of capacitors. And I'm not going to get into the capacitor war or the capacitor discussion. All capacitors to me are capacitors. And if they're leaking, they go. And if they're not, they stay. It's as simple as that. That's the easiest way. Everyone has their own opinions on capacitors and things, and I respect whatever people think. That's up to them. It's if they're in their amp, it's their right to have them. But if they're leaky, they'll have to go, because obviously this amp won't function properly, and tubes are expensive, and if there's voltage leaking onto the grids, then obviously the tubes aren't going to last long. So let's just have a look round at a few things. So you start with this capacitor. Well, that's not good because it's not secure. So every time this amp gets put down, there's, you know, whatever vibration, it's just not good to have that floating around like that. It's not the worst, but it really needs securing better than that. Now that, as we can see there, has been insulated. You probably can't get in close. I have got a lens coming for this camera that macros it, but it's not arrived yet. And although there is a slight bit of the wire showing, and if you look there, that gets pushed down, that will connect to that. Now that may be part of its own circuit, I don't know, because obviously I'm just looking inside, but that's the first thing I see that I don't care for. But as I say, it's not the worst. That one's pretty solid. It's just that that's a bit of a weighty thing. You know, these ones, they're not so bad because you don't weigh so much. Tubing glued together there, that's pretty secure. One here, that's secure. It's just this, and again, this one is pretty secure. It could be made more. So it's just strange that these are all secure, and yet this one's just boinging about. Maybe someone else put that on. It's not forced to be the same guy, is it? We don't know that. One here, that one's okay. So we've got these wires here, and they could, if they're ground, then that's absolutely fine, because then if they touch this, it's ground anyway. So let's just have a look. Now there's some wiring down here that, where's that going? That, we have to put some bigger glasses on to see inside there. More powerful glasses. Keep saying bigger glasses, we'll be getting the Elton John image again. Now we can see a lot better in there. So yeah, right to this cable here. So that, and that can also be pushed down onto there as well, but again, that's ground. So if that is ground, I think. I'm guessing it is. Well, there's a wire off here. Just floating about. We don't know what that does. Maybe it's off that pot. It won't reach to that pot, will it? No. So what's that come off? No idea. I've got some old caps left in here. 1, 2, 3, 5 of those. So not sure what they're about, but they look quite old. So those got left in. What else? And it's alright, I haven't got this screwdriver in here. This amp's not been switched on for quite a while, so there'll be no charge in the caps. So it says these caps aren't used, but at a glance they look like they're connected up, because that wire goes from that cap to here. I've got two 10k resistors on there that I can see, and I've got a 10k resistor going to that other cap. I've got a wire going to that cap here. So that looks like it is wired up. It's saying they're not used, but although, and I've got another resistor here coming off that cap going to this tube here. So are they just using one of those terminals off there and using a terminal off there? Are they just grounds? That one's going to the other cap. Those are going, no, that's not connected anywhere, is it? So maybe they're not being used then. Maybe they're just using those pins on there, which transformer looks like it's been fitted okay. Certainly better than the Kelly. The Kelly amplifier. Yeah, that's been fitted okay. That wire's probably just risen up, but nicely twisted wires on the AC there for the filaments. Yeah, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Got the grip cord in, that's okay. Neutral there, live on the fuse tip. Yeah, no problems. The only problems I foresee in this, apart from this wire, we need to find out where that goes, is these bumblebee caps. This obviously floating around, we need to do something with that. What's this here though? That doesn't look very good. What's this? That doesn't look very good. That's a bit of a cold shoulder there. Some frayed wires. Another. Push that up with the iron. It's no big deal. Well, I think the thing is then is just to get a bit of voltage on there. Everything looks okay. Transformer's been fitted really well. Have we got any star washers on there? Yeah, we have. So yeah, all looks good. All looks good stuff. It's good work. Just the odd little bit, but I'm guessing that's from years and years ago. The work that's been done in this is to a good standard. It's nice to take the lid off something and not see the usual messes that I've seen of late. So you can see this 6L6 here's the locator's broken off it. And I'm just looking if it's in the wrapper, and it's not. I'll have to be careful with that. And that will go in like that. So I've got the preamp tubes in there, 12. We've got 12 an AY7 in there, 12 AY7. These are all 12 AU7s, and we need another 12 AU7 to go in there. We've got some other tubes here, some CV numbers. So I'm presuming that they are, unless, yep. So I'm presuming that one is a 12 AU7 CV4024. I'm sure some new watchers will already know that. I shall just check, because I check everything, and I'm not big on CV numbers, military numbers. Let's get the other one out. That's got no locator on at all. Is that not in there either? So I don't much care for tubes with no locators on. To be very careful with this, that these go in correctly. I'm just going to pop that in there, but I will just check that before we switch on. Well, CV4024 is a 12AT7 ECC81. I've got a 12AX7 in the end, 12AY7, 3 12AU7s, so that's probably the phase inverter, so that'll be okay in there, as long as we know the pin out's the same. And then this tube is the rectifier, which obviously goes there. So just one thing to remember when you're dealing with octal tubes is always check the locators are in place. It's very easy just to plug them in and you'll end up with a dead short on them. So again, the locator's okay on that one, especially on a rectifier tube, my word. I've seen that before. That has catastrophic results. Oh, I've got some more preamp valves here. I didn't spot those. In a box, so maybe these are the so these are the actual tubes. So let's remove him, and we've already got 12AY7, so it must have obviously it's got a spare set of tubes. We'll take that AU7 and pop him in there, and that'll do nicely. Right, we need to get a speaker on him now, don't we? Right, we've got a meter on it. We've got a speaker plugged in. We've got the current limiter down here. Why? Because this amp's been through the post, so it's obviously it'll have been thrown about a lot, and obviously the tubes are in there and we don't know whether it's damaged any of those. We've always got to be cautious I just use a current limiter anyway, it just makes sense. We've got a 40 watt bulb in there. We've got the on switch here. See the bulb's lit up. You can just see it there, the green one. We've got to wait for that rectifier tube to conduct, and it's beginning to now. You can see it going up. That's only a 40 watt bulb, so again that will be it will be reasonably bright. When I put another 40 in, we'll have 80, and it should go dimmer unless there's a short on it, of course, and then it will get brighter. They'll both be bright. Right, let's put the other 40 in. There you see the other one's gone dim now. We've got 80 watts in there. You can see the plate voltage beginning to rise. And already we've got sound. You can see the plate voltage is beginning to fall now because the tubes are conducting. Just turn the volumes down. Probably wait till it's fully volted before we see if there's any capacitance hum. There shouldn't be, should there? Because we've got new caps in here. As long as they're big enough for the job. You know, the microfarad perspective. Bit of crackling on there. There's an old capacitor connected to that, so I don't know whether that's leaky. So I might have to look at that. Nothing major. Ooh. Oh, that's turning up the bass. Let's turn each input down. That one's not humming. He's humming. He's humming. And he's only mildly humming. So that one's absolutely fine. So I wonder if that input is for this XLR, and then these three inputs. That one's absolutely fine. So we might have to check some wiring on those stages there. I think there's a bit of leakage on that. I think that cap is leaking. So yes, there is DC leaking on there. Not very much voltage on the other end of that. We'll just have a look. If we look, got 1.3, but we've got 3 volts on that side going onto the pot. So that's probably where that's coming from. Now, obviously, we've only got 188 on there, so we might through the dropping resistors, but that is a bit low, I have to say. That bulb's big. I'm going to try and take that one of those bulbs out with my fingers, but it's got a bit warm now. There's a lot of tubes in this amp, so it's drawing a fair bit of current. Right, we'll take out and you'll see the plate voltage beginning to drop again there, because I've just took the 40 out and I'm going to put 100 in. And now you should see it rise back up there. And the amp's getting much louder now. And now we've got 244 plate volts. Tubes are conducting a little better now, and that's beginning to drop again. So let's see where we are with that voltage. So I've got 1.8 on that side, and I've got 3.3 on that side still. Not sure what pin that's coming off. That actually is a cathode resistor. Why is it connected to the volume? Is it a cathode resistor? It's looking like, what's on there? So that's a cathode bypass capacitor, but for some reason it's fastened onto that volume control. I'm not sure what's going on there. Well, that would explain why we've got voltage. So that's something we need to take a look at. So that bumblebee there's got 35 on it, and that's not leaking. Not at that voltage, it's not anyway, that we've got on there. Cathode resistor there, 10 watts, cathode bypass capacitor, left the old one on there. That really needs to be changed. You're not getting the best out of that with a 60-70 year old capacitor on there. That's not leaking. That's not leaking, although we don't expect those to be. The new ones, one of these we can see here, we just moved the wire, one of these bumblebees has been removed because it was leaky, because that's been jumped in, well, J-hooked in should I say, nothing wrong with that. But has that got voltage on it? Yep. What we got on here? They're just low volts, so they're no problem. So that's good so far. There's a few more of these bumblebees. What's that one got on it? 27. What's it got on this side? 50. Oh no. 27 volts. Well, that one's not leaking either, so they're pretty good, aren't they? Surprising. So far with that voltage on anyway. So what we'll do now, and you can see the voltage will drop because I've took the 40 watt bulb out. Now I'm going to put another 100 watt in. And we'll have 200 watts of current limiting now, and you can see the voltage should begin to rise. 42, 351 millivolts now on there, so that has crept up a little bit. Little bit of frying coming in now. My days, look at that. What's going on there? Well, that's a new capacitor. Just check that again. Well, that's showing 2.7 volts on there. 21, 2.7. So that's leaking like a colander, unless it's coming from somewhere else. There's another cap here. So that's leaking. That looks like a relatively new cap, but that would indicate that is leaking. Yeah, 2. So if we look on there, on the uninsulated part, 20, we come onto here, that's 2.2. Let's just check these again. No, they're not leaking. So are those relatively old capacitors then? Are they not new capacitors? Newer, obviously newer than the Bumbles, or maybe the original. I don't think they are, because you can see where that one's been swapped, so maybe they're an old capacitor. And even if they've been put in recently, they could be old, couldn't they? I think we need to lose those and put some new ones in. If that one's failed, then those two can't be fantastic either. LCR capacitors, those. 47 nanofarad. Anybody knows anything about those? Please leave something in the comments. Shall we flick the limiter off then? I think we're safe to now, aren't we? Off goes the limiter, and you can see the voltage now is ramping up. 359. Oh, I think we'll get that back on. Was that a tube? Red plating, and we can't see if it is, because of course they're the metal based ones. I didn't like the look of the sound of that. My word, that's leaking like a colander, that capacitor. Right, let's turn all these noisy inputs down, and we'll just turn up the one that isn't as noisy. Ooh. Yeah, that's okay. So it's just excessive noise. I just thought for a minute that were a tube starting to go up. So this channel's really quiet. So maximum plate volts 359. So all of these caps are well within spec. That one there off the rectifier there, smoothing. Let's just turn it all down now, and you can see we have got quite a bit of capacitance hum now, which is a clear indication that this 22 on here isn't really big enough for this amp, and that's noisy. So I think that needs to be increased to 47 to reduce some of that background noise we've got there. And they're all 22s we've got, which these are okay in the preamp stage, but that really could do it up in a bit. Right, let's check some more of these caps now. We've got some voltage on there. So let's see what we've got on the back of that Bumblebee now. Only 46 volts. Oops, it's said good night. And there is leakage on that Bumblebee. Look, there's a half a volt nearly there now, just about half a volt. And obviously if the feeds to these had a lot more voltage on, then so that's only 46 volts, that's 0.5. so if there were 90 volts on there, there'd be a volt on there, and if there was 180 volts on there, there'd be a couple. So that's leaking. That one's got 37 on there at 246 milliamps. So again, if that had got a good voltage on it, that would be leaking. So they are leaky. That one's very leaky. That one's got a very low plate voltage on this amp, haven't we? 23.5. What we got on here? Now that's, yeah, that's got 4 volts on it. So he's not a lumberjack, and he certainly is not okay. What we got on this one? Well, there's 0.6 on that side. That one's got 86 on that side, and has got 0.6 on that side, so that one's leaking. So it looks like most of these bumblebees are leaking, sadly. 36, what's that one got on it? 5 volts. That one 5 volts, 36 on that side. And again, that we need to get that insulated. I might put a new cap on there. We'll get that insulated. That's dangerous. That there, and that's 5.3. So these on here, I've got no voltage on them. These on these inputs here, I don't think. That one's got 0.6 on that side. Nothing on that side. Not sure what that's doing. I'll have to check that on the schematic. But that one, so they can stay, because they'll, if they not, I mean the bass works and the treble works, that's obviously what they're doing, so there's no reason to take these bumblebees out, because they've got no voltage on them and they're working okay, so they can stay. But I'm afraid this big mess to here and these 3 are leaking, but then so is that newer one. And if we've got no faith in the newer ones, then we've got no faith in these 2, or they need to go. No trust in those, is there? If that one's leaking and it's only had that low voltage on, it's only a matter of time before these start leaking. 1.6 kilovolts DC. Well, they're not holding up very well, are they? See what's across that bias resistor then. Nothing. Yes, there is. 27.76 volts going across there, and that resistor is 250 ohms. 27 volts divided by 250, that is 108 milliamps. Let's divide that by 2 and take away 5% for the screens. 51 milliamps those tubes are drawing, and we've got, well, that's not the correct voltage, because that's plate to ground and we want plate to cathode. So that's ground. So it's just something that's just occurred to me there. Plate voltage 543. 325. I could have just calculated the drop off that plate voltage, couldn't I? So 325. $16 watts a piece, those tubes. So that's good, because they dissipate at 19 watts. So they're under 100%. Although they could easily run at 100%, but 16.6 is good enough for that. It's 16.67. It's 2.5 watts under, so that's fine. Just had a new ground put on there, bolted to the chassis, but the chassis has never been cleaned before they've bolted that in, so okay, we need to look at that. We'll just unbolt that and clean it properly and put it back. Trivial things, they're not things, you're probably just being picky, but while we've got it open, you know, we're working on it, we'll just do that. It's nothing. It's nothing that, but just going to put the current limiter back on now. So where are we then with this amp? So we've got the background hum. Just flick that off again. All the volumes are turned down. We've got a bit of capacitance hum there. So we could maybe up him to 47 to get rid of a proportion of that. I have a feeling that cap, and it's on the screen, smoothing the screen, that one, because that's the plate 3, 4, 5, yeah. So we don't know what that is because they faced it down and we can't see what it is. They've just glued that down. Not push at it too much because there's voltage on it. If it gets dislodged and suddenly moves, the ground's just been bent around and put onto there. This amp doesn't have an HT fuse from what I can see. So screen voltage is 357. So we've got more voltage on the screen than the plate. Or have we? No, we haven't. Yes, we have. 353. We've got 353 on the plate and 357 on the screen. So we've got more voltage on the screen than the plate. So that needs to be looked at. And no screen resistor. This amp got a choke on it. Oh, sorry, keep the camera there. I wonder if there's one on the schematic. Let's find that schematic, shall we? Let's turn off. We don't need it switched on anymore, do we? There's the cathode coming off. Goes up there. 30 microfarad cap. And they've only put a 22 in there, so we'll put a 40. It says 425 volts, but we've only got 359. That's probably because this 6x4 is missing out of the circuit, maybe. Well, that says it. That looks like a choke to me there. So let's go here. 15k 1 watt resistor, 30 microfarad, 30, 30 and 15. 355 source. That's roughly more what we had. So I'm not sure what's going on with this other winding here. I'm going to have to sit and study that and try and work out what's going on. Not seen one of these amps before. So 425 source. 6x4 comes out here, says this 340. We no longer have that, and that looks like a choke to me. And then we've got the drop-in resistors going through each one, and you can see the voltage coming off each one. So this amp's had quite a bit of work done to it. I don't know how well you can see that. You probably can't if just going a bit more. As you're getting too far with this camera, it gets a bit out of focus. Turn that light up a bit more. I'll have that one there. That should be it. So yeah, so you can see here L1 should have been a choke in there, but I don't see a choke. So that is the choke there, going down to there. So we have a choke, and then the drop-in resistor is that one then that's fastened up in that glue and heat shrink thing there. So that must be we look back on here, there's the choke, so that must be 15k. So whatever, we don't know what that is, and it looks like that looks like red, so I'm presuming that's probably 2.2k or 22k instead of 15, so somebody's increased that slightly. And then we've got 10k, so that goes to there. I'll have to trace that through because we're missing some voltage, a lot of voltage on these plates. So we'll have to trace that through, won't we, and have a look. But yeah, crisis averted, there is a choke. And now I come to think about it, I'm looking, I should have looked at this wire and followed it, because that's obviously feeding that, and now I'm thinking, well, where was the feed from node 1? It's not across here, duh, it's there, and that's the choke, duh. Never mind, we got there in the end. So we have got a choke, but we've still got too much too much screen voltage. Well, we've not got too much screen voltage. We've got more screen voltage than we've got on the plate, so we need to reduce that with a screen resistor. We need screen resistor on both of those. We need that anyway for the tubes. Now I'm sure you're all itching to hear the guitar through this, and I suppose we could pop the guitar in it and have a bit of a listen. Got the guitar plugged in. Flick off the limiter. Strange interaction on these controls. That's clearly that channel. Well, that will interact with it. So will that one. It's probably as well to leave all these channels turned down except for the one you're using. On here, I would think. Tone control works fine. No, see those bumblebees there in the circuit, but they've got no voltage on them, so they can stay. Bass works very well. That's it. I'll just turn this guitar away, single coils. So this amp's not very loud really. It's loud, but not excessively loud. And that'll be down to the 12 AU7s and the low plate voltage on these preamp tubes, as we saw on the schematic. Let's try another channel. And that's microphone 1. again. Let's try the other input. My word, that is noisy. So that input's got all sorts of problems there. Yeah, so a lot of problems on those inputs, not a lot of volume. This first input here, not sure what's going on with that one. We've got this XLR. We're going to have to trace all that out because some problems with that. That's not been wired up particularly well, has it? So we can add those onto the list of jobs. But overall, we plug into this middle one. Probably this middle one seems to have the most volume, which is channel 1. Go. So I had a bit of a listen. So treble and bass work okay. Very noisy when you turn the bass up. Inputs work after a fashion, but again, are very noisy when they're turned up. A lot of problems on this amp to sort out. The noise issues, especially leaking capacitors. So I'm going to make this part 1 because this video's gone on for some time and there's quite a bit of work to do on this amplifier. So that'll do it. So thanks for watching. You all take care and I'll see you all in another video. Bye bye for now.